convened a closed meeting on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act. And whereas Section 2.2-3711 of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by the New Kent County School Board that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now therefore be it resolved that the New Kent County School Board hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, one, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirement by Virginia law were discussed in closed meeting to which this certification resolution applies, and two, only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered by the New Kent County School Board.
Do I hear a motion to approve the certification of the closed session?
I move we approve the certification of the closed session.
And do I hear a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. If we can all stand for Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Comments from the school board members? Dr. Nichols, any comments?
I just want to say thank you again to our community, to our schools, to our staff, our teachers, our bus drivers. Every morning I get a digest of the Virginia State Association's school stories. And, we're keeping buses on the roads. We're working through some classroom quarantines and those pieces. We thought last year would be the toughest year ever, and it's been topped by this year. So every chance I get, I just want to say thank you to everyone for support, flexibility, and continuing to work through each day as it presents new challenges.
Thank you, Dr. Nichols. Recognitions. First item is recognition of National Hispanic American Heritage Month on September 15th through October 15th. Mr. Miller.
Yes, as you mentioned, since this year, a little bit of history there. It actually started in 1968, the onset as a week, and then Reagan expanded that to the full month of September 15th, October 15th. A little bit about numbers of Hispanic citizens here in Virginia as well as in New Kent. In Virginia, approximately 10% of the population is of Hispanic origin. And here in New Kent, we're actually climbing and we're at 6%, so slightly behind the state at this point. And so then as far as what we have going on in the schools for this, we have a variety of programs. We have a program at the middle school where they have some history lessons that have been supplied to teachers, as well as some reading exercises through the library. Also, our ESL staff has prepared some Hispanic heritage lessons that have been pushed out to the middle school and the high school and the elementary schools as well for teachers to be able to use. And then she's modeling those lessons with teachers throughout the division as well. So.
Thank you. Next is recognition of October as Bullying Prevention Month. Dr. Clark.
That this month of October is proclaimed by our governor as Bullying Prevention Month. As Bullying Prevention Month. Also, a live webinar is being presented on October 26th, sponsored by the VSBA. Again, just recognizing school-based bullying prevention methods. And then lastly, the president of the Virginia School Board Association also published a public service announcement to talk about October being recognized as Bullying Prevention Month. And so we have some planned activities from each school. At the middle school, they are going to be focused on some specific lessons that address bullying prevention from our teachers and from our school counselors. There's also a project called Project Connect, which will occur on October the 19th. And that's when students are able to write down bullying prevention strategies and they link them together on a chain. And so that's a national project that the middle school will be participating in. And then also on October the 20th, there is an Orange Out campaign where students and staff are asked to wear orange to show unity for kindness. So those are the activities at the middle school. At our high school, they have some activities planned as well. There's some school-wide videos that'll be shown on different days that give a nod to bullying prevention and awareness as well. There'll be some activities that support prevention during lunch. And then lastly, they are also in talks with the National Guard to have a presentation for the freshmen on bullying prevention. And then lastly, at our elementary schools, they are going to observe bullying prevention during the week of October the 18th through the 22nd. And they are going to support it by having a daily activity to show their support for anti-bullying. So they'll have different things that they'll be wearing in support of bullying prevention. And we'll just continue to keep our students focused on being kind to each other. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next is recognition of National School Bus Safety Awareness Month, and that is October 18th through School Bus Safety Awareness Week, October 18th through the 22nd, and Transportation Employees Appreciation Day on October 20th. Mr. Hoffman.
Yeah, schools across the nation observe National School Bus Safety Week, the third week of October. The 2021 October theme is Be Safe, Know the Danger Zone. Our school is going to encourage the students to participate in the 2021-22 National School Bus Safety Week poster contest. The contest theme is one bus plus one driver equals a big impact on education. Held during the third full week of October each year, National School Bus Safety Week is an active and evolving public education program and an excellent way for parents, students, teachers, motorists, school bus operators, school administrators, and other interested parties to join forces and address the importance of school bus safety. Designed to promote school bus safety, school districts throughout the country observe School Bus Safety Week. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Next is recognition of National School Lunch Week. That's October 11th through the 15th. Ms. Moorheim.
We need a couple more.
We do need some more
Members
microphones.
of the board, Dr. Nichols. This is Celebrate National School Lunch Week. And as you know, recently we celebrated our school nutrition staff. This is really to celebrate lunch, and we can't do that really without celebrating our staff once again. They have served over 50,000 meals since the start of the school year, and we've only been in school for about 24 days. That's remarkable. These ladies, the joy that they bring into our schools, they are really the heart of our schools. We will be going around to each of the kitchens during the week to celebrate them, and they're also doing things within the school to celebrate lunch and the students that are enjoying our lunches. So we would just encourage everyone to send in notes, draw a picture, do something kind, say something kind for these kitchens, these staff, for all of the wonderful meals that they provide.
Thank you. And last but certainly not least, we would like to recognize the Media Honor Roll recognition. That would be Dr. Nichols and myself.
Yep. Board members, as you recall, the board passed a resolution at the August 9th meeting to nominate Mr. Andre Jones of the New Kent Charles City Chronicle to the VSBA Media Honor Roll. Tonight, we'd like to publicly recognize Mr. Jones by presenting him with this certificate recognizing his fair and balanced reporting and partnership with New Kent County Public Schools. Mr. Jones? Maybe we can get this in the front.
Yes.
All right, next up is our consent agenda. Um, Board members, by now you've had the opportunity to review the items listed on the consent agenda, including minutes from previous meetings, bills and payroll, and the superintendent's recommendations regarding personnel and student matters. Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
I move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
And do I hear a second?
I second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next is our citizen comment procedures, or citizen comment period. Let's see, we have several people on the list. Before we begin, I'd like to thank everyone. Having some technical difficulties. We have new audio and we're still learning how to. There we go. Great, thank you. Before we begin, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out tonight to speak. Please note that comments are limited to 3 minutes. Once the timer sounds, please promptly finish your comment and return to your seat. It is customary for the school board not to make comment during the citizen comment period. Please make sure your contact information is provided on the sign-up sheet if you would like someone to follow up with you. Thank you again for coming. First up is Emily White.
Hello, my name's Emily White. You may have heard about my name recently as I posted a few pages from a book that was sent home with my 6th grader a couple weeks ago. I wanted to talk tonight about the material that we offer to our children in the school library. I've been seeing in the news, as I'm sure most of you have also, that pornographic books and books that about children being molested by their parents are being taught and or available in public schools across the country. I truly never thought it would be here in New Kent. These children are getting their innocence taken away earlier and earlier by social media, music, movies, TV. The public schools should not be adding to this. The public schools, in my opinion, should still be trying to hold our children up and encourage them to be upstanding citizens. I'm so thankful that Dr. Nichols and the school board have removed the book, The Poet X, from the middle school library after much discussion. I know there are other books there, however, that are still not acceptable and need to also be removed. I am interested to hear about how we're going to uphold the high standard that this county has to offer our children rather than bring it down to the world standards. I'm willing to be involved and help in any way that I can now that this has been brought to my attention that it's a problem. I know that this county will rise to the challenge to improve our children's reading material and hold the teachers accountable for introducing appropriate material to their classes. Our children look up to their teachers, see them as role models, and trust them. My child's trust was shattered when this book was sent home to him by his role models. I do not want this to happen to anybody else's child. I know it's a very tight-knit community, which is why we moved here, and I know that we will use this as an opportunity to grow and improve. I've had a mom in the county reach out to me after my original post and mention that she felt the need to read a book that her daughter had checked out the library just to be sure it was appropriate. Her daughter's in the 7th grade and checked out the book titled Panic by Sharon M. Draper. The mom luckily read it before her daughter could. She said that it's a story about a teenage girl who was kidnapped, raped multiple times, put on the dark web, and exploited to pedophiles. The mom said that the book is a good book. However, it isn't appropriate for a 12-year-old 7th grader. She told me that if her daughter had read this book first, it would have put way too much fear in her little girl's head about good and bad things in life. That's like what she said. She couldn't come, so I told her I would mention this. I believe that books should be encouraging, imaginative, relatable, inviting, and educational. I don't believe, especially for this age group, that it should be filled with sexual content, cursing, rape, pedophiles, and deceit.
Thank you. Next is Elizabeth Remorenko. Did I say that? Remorenko? Thank you.
Dr. Nichols, Ms. Stexel, Ms. Swinford, members of the board, thank you for the time this evening. My name is Elizabeth Smith Rimarenko. I live in New Kent and my children attend our county schools. I grew up here and was honored to represent New Kent while attending the governor's school. The last time I stood before the New Kent School Board, I was a senior thanking the board for that amazing opportunity. And so tonight I come before the board once again to say thank you. Thank you to every single person who has made the impossible happen since the start of the pandemic. I've watched nearly every school board meeting over the last 18 months, and I know it hasn't been easy for those working to educate our children. On top of the day-to-day challenges we face due to COVID, there is a cloud of negativity and discord surrounding schools. It's draining to watch TV, read the news, or hop on social media to see and hear all the divisive comments from media personalities, politicians, religious leaders, and citizens. I personally find it to be exhausting, and I don't even work in the schools. And yet I wonder how many of those who seek to divide us are paying attention to the amazing things actually happening in our school. Because I see a school board and superintendent who have regularly agonized over making the best possible decisions with the information available, knowing that no solution will make everyone happy. I see administrators, central staff, and school office staff coming up with plans A, B, and C, only to have to pivot again to come up with plans E, F, G, and beyond. I can't even guess how many times we've cycled through that alphabet. Speaking of pivoting, I know that our paraprofessionals, substitutes, and other staff are stepping in as needed to keep our students on pace. Our teachers are rock stars under normal circumstances, but now I see our teachers going above and beyond to find new ways of teaching and connecting with our children while filling in gaps. Over the last year, my teachers' children drove by our house to say hi, set up time on Friday to chat, and started after-school cursive clubs on top of all their daily school and personal responsibilities. I see our bus drivers taking our kids to school safely each and every day. I will tell you, I can see our bus driver's huge smile through her mask every single morning, beaming at my kids. I see the nutrition staff finding ways to keep the children of our community from going hungry. I know that our custodians and other support staff are going above and beyond to clean and keep our buildings as safe as possible. I know that our school nurses are swamped with contact tracing and still find time to return my calls about the COVID flow chart. And I know that our school psychologists, school social workers, and school counselors are also taking on more to help our children navigate this pandemic. And I know there are so many more in our school system working every day to provide an outstanding educational experience for our children. So at the end of the day, we are New Kent strong. I trust that the leadership and team will continue to make the best decisions possible, to teach to the highest educational standards, to keep our children safe, and to offer a welcoming environment for all. So to everyone in our school system, I say thank you. Know that you have the support of many parents in this community, including the support of my family. So thank you for the time.
Thank you so much. That's very nice. Barbara Miller.
Hi, I'm Barbara Miller. I'm going to give my time to my husband to speak. Thank you.
Tom
Madam Chair,
Miller.
I'm assuming that's
Yes.
okay, but I don't
We're
want to get
gonna
in
do-
trouble with the
we'll go ahead
FBI.
and
I don't
put-
want to get in trouble with the FBI right off the bat.
We'll go ahead and put 6 minutes on the clock, please.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm Tom Miller, 5th District, live at 14400 Winding Grove Lane, Lenexa. I'd like to address 3 issues tonight. Number 1 is the middle school book, which Ms. White has already addressed to some extent. Diversity, equity, and inclusiveness, or the rebranding of critical race theory, and the New Kent County Public School Policy and Community Involvement. The young mom that just spoke to you and posted in Facebook on certain things that were in the Poet X book that her son was given, who was 11 years old and just turned 11 years old, as a result of his participating in the National Hispanic Month. And he did pick the book. I'm sure he had little idea what he was picking. And the book was given to him with a sticky on it with his name. Ms. White went and saw the principal, the English teacher, and the librarian to discuss it. And the most upsetting thing to me about what I was told that took place here was a comment made to her about, what about this book do you find offensive? So how about if I read to you the page from that book that somebody in this system, one of the three, said, what do you find offensive? Would that be okay?
I don't think we need to hear it. I think we've seen.
I really don't want to read it, so I'm going to ask Ms. Hall to pass out a copy of extracts from that book. Not only the page that was in Facebook, but a number of other things. I read the book, and I'm delighted to hear that it's been removed from the New Kent County Middle School Library. And I asked the superintendent and you to do the following. I'd like to know who is reviewing library books that are approved for this middle school. Are there parents involved? Who is responsible for giving an 11-year-old this book? Who actually did this? The character in the book is 15 years old. He's a sophomore. So who did that? And how are they going to be held accountable? And if we don't peel this back and look and see what other books, as you just heard from one of the speakers, I'm not convinced that we don't have other books of this nature in our school system, not only in middle school, but possibly in the high school. Second item I want to talk about is the Department of Education's mandate regarding cultural competency training. Training that will be required for all of our New Kent County Public School teachers prior to the 2022-2023 school year. Training that is now required due to Senate Bill 1196 passed by the 2021 General Assembly. Requires new teachers before they are certified to have this training, and any teacher that's renewing their license to also have the training. So how will this work? Cultural competency training is going to be based on a Department of Education document called Navigating Equity, Virginia Roadmap to Equity, 52 pages in length. One of the contributors to this document is Dr. Ibram X. Kendi. Probably doesn't ring a bell to anybody in this room. But he's the guy that pushed central critical race theory. And he's references in this document that the Department of Education has that we are going to have to use to instruct our teachers as a contributor to that document. The Department of Education document is all about diversity, equity, and inclusiveness. We now refer that to DEI, if you haven't heard that term. Dr. Nichols has stated publicly that CRT is not taught in the New Kent County Public Schools. Well, the rebranding of CRT into DEI and then essentially teaching subjects through the lens of CRT tells us a bit of a different story. Let me give you some definitions. Diversity, the practice of quality of including or involving people from a range of different social and ethnic backgrounds and of different genders, sexual orientation, etc. Equity, this has replaced equality. Instead of ensuring that every American has an equal opportunity to succeed, equity demands equal outcomes. Identity, everything is about what you are, not who you are. Whites are born racists. This is the DEI, this is the Department of Education document. So I have some questions. Has work been initiated in preparing instructional material for cultural competency training in this county? How will a new teacher apply for a license to teach in New Kent County Public School get this cultural competency training? Now required to get their teaching certificate. Have New Kent County Public School teachers been informed that they will have to take the cultural competency training before the 2022-2023 school year? Will this school system develop a cultural competency training a program in-house or by contract? Are teachers aware that they will be evaluated on how they implement cultural competency training in their classroom instructions? Are you prepared to deal with the loss of teachers when they are confronted by what the state is going to require? Have you expressed your concerns to the Department of Education and or the state superintendent of schools? And if so, how? I'm not going to get to the third topic because I'm out of time. Beg your pardon? I defer to the chair.
That's Miss Leslie Trivett is going to defer her time, so we'll add 3 minutes.
I'll try to stay under the 3 minutes. The other thing that I'd like to talk about is your public policy regarding participation of the public in the meetings. It is customary for the school board, as you said, not to make comment. I understand that. However, the superintendent will provide responses to comments and questions during the next regularly scheduled meeting. And I wrote Mrs. Staskill about doing exactly it, along with bringing up again for the second or third time, speaking at the work sessions. That has not gone anywhere. And I didn't get a response. After several days, I followed up and I did get a response. And the response, I quote, "Receipt confirmed, thanks." But no answer to the questions I raised. Now, does this foster community involvement? This board has refused to take a vote on the masking mandate despite considerable public input asking for that a vote be taken. It has refused to allow comments at the work session. You did not discuss Senator Donovan or Peterson's letter regarding Senate Bill 1303, which was the basis for the governor's direction to the Department of Health to edict mandate masks. You can be a part of the solution, or you can be the problem. Many of us out here are beginning to think you're the problem. So tonight, I ask that you try a little harder to understand the community that has elected you to serve. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. J.B. Benson.
J.B. Benson, 3902 Homestead Road, Lenexa, District 5. Madam Chair, I think we've pretty well established that you 5 board members have a heavy responsibility, and I know that must weigh on you. The people of this community, who you see represented here at all of your meetings, have freely given their input, their ideas, their beliefs, and so forth. But we need to know how you feel. After this meeting, I'm going to work with my school board member to try to draft up a statement of support for equal treatment of all students, whether it has to do with gender, sexual preference, ethnicity, or skin color. I think you need to be on record as stating how you feel about these things. I think that'll go a long way toward cementing your relationships with the community. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Miss Sandy Gauthier.
My name is Sandy Gauthier. I live in District 5, and I want to talk about National Bullying Prevention Month. I think bullying includes bullying parents and grandparents and taxpayers. There's a group called the National School Board Association, which on the 29th of September, through the help of several people who work for the federal government, wrote a letter to the Attorney General asking for support in suppressing parents. And 5 days later, the Attorney General of the United States sent out a memo to the FBI, to the Executive Office of the U.S. Attorneys, to the Assistant Attorney General of the Criminal Division, and all U.S. state attorneys, telling them to take action against parents who were out of control, who were emotional, who might come to school board meetings and complain. So my question is a New Kent County School System a member of the National School Board Association? And if so, what does that cost us? That's taxpayer dollars, and we would like to know what we're supporting. So that's my request to the school board, that we get a response as to what we are doing, how much money is being spent, taxpayer money spent in that manner. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Brittany Cole? Sean Cole?
I brought up something for me just in case my sheer mask wasn't good enough, an actual real mask that stops nuclear, biological. I got the wrong canisters on it, but I just want to show you in case anybody had a problem. But normally I got asked to leave last time I was here by the deputy back there very nicely because I refused to wear a mask. I was going to come in here again, not wear a mask because I'm not afraid of the FBI, y'all, anybody out here. I do what I feel is right. Okay. A lot of people don't. A lot of people just do what they think they're told is the right thing to do. I was going to come in here again, not wear a mask. Then my wife, who could not make it, said, don't do that. They're going to ask you to leave again. Mrs. English has asked me, please don't do that. Please talk. I wasn't going to, I wasn't even going to come to this. I've pretty much given up because last time I came here, nobody backed me up. I came in here by myself with no mask on. And I'm waiting to see one time when all of y'all say, we're not doing it no more. What are you going to do? Not have the meeting? Then it hits the papers, press, Instagram, Facebook. Hey, look at those parents. They stood up. So this morning, my wife gets a call from the principal or the assistant nurse at the elementary school that she has been exposed to a positive COVID child and now has to stay at home for 10 days. So I called and talked to the principal. I don't know her name. I apologize. And I asked her, how was my child exposed? Tell me who she was. I don't need to know who she's exposed. I understand that you're not going to tell me what child came down or parent or teacher or whatever. She's like, well, I can't tell you that. Well, I said, I need to know a little bit of the rules on how you decide who goes home. Okay. Well, she said, we are following the rules. I said, well, on the Virginia State Health Department government website, it says children, kindergarten through 12th grade, who both wear masks. Even if one of them comes up test positive, there is no need to quarantine them. You can check the website out. So I need to know where the rules are coming from. And she didn't know. She told me to talk to you because I need to know. Y'all need to know. What are the rules? A 5-year-old stays at home now for 10 days with probably my 77-year-old mother, who is, as we all know, a very susceptible person with COVID. She has sisters. They go out. Your kids that are quarantined go out on the weekends like normal or around everybody. It makes absolutely no sense. This mask right here, everybody didn't blink an eye when I walked in here with it. I can breathe just as free as I could.
Thank you, Mr. Cole.
It's just ridiculous. Y'all need to come up with a better plan. It's going to be a vicious cycle. How many days does my kid stay at home this year over a virus that's virtually harmless to them?
Thank you, Mr. Cole.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even look at it.
Miss Alexis Lassiter.
All right, so my name is Alexis Lassiter. I live at 7981 Point Lookout Road, West Point, Virginia. It is still part of New Kent County. We're in Plum Point. Gotta love it. So basically, I'm not really here to talk about books. I'm not here to talk about masks. I can talk all day about masks and whatnot. I work for Pfizer. And the actual illnesses that are affecting our children after getting COVID. But my issue that I am dealing with is I am fighting the Baptist church in my neighborhood because my son would like to use his bus stop. His bus stop has been backpedaled and brought back to the concept of, well, it's as close to the church's property without being on the church's property. And that's ironic because in our area, there is nothing but the road or the church's property. Now, why this is an issue is because my son and another little boy of New Kent Elementary School were sitting on the very edge of a sidewalk connected to the church's property. It is part of the church's property, but is essentially on the line because there is an existence of a public right-of-way. And a woman in her pajamas and her bonnet came outside and walked past not one, but two adults to scream at my 8-year-old and a 6-year-old. This issue with the Plum Point Mattapony bus stop has been going on since I was in middle school. The patrons of St. Luke's Baptist Church believe wholeheartedly it is completely okay to scream at your child. My son ran away that day that they were screaming at him. And it was a big mass panic to find out if he had made it on the bus or not. I personally know that the school has a lot of things on their back. And what I'm asking for tonight is support from not only the school board, but everyone in this room for our kids, because community bus stops are a thing here in New Kent County. We have dirt roads, we have holy roads, you name it, we got it. Okay, and so my son has to go, it's 0.02 tenths of a mile up the road to his bus stop to be able to get on the bus. But at this bus stop, it is utterly unsafe. There is a 5th grader who proceeds to stand in the middle of the road instead of standing anywhere near the grass on either side of this bus stop, which are both 2 private properties, and both owners and recipients have made sure that these children, and I quote, these damn kids better not be on my property. And what I'm requesting tonight is support to press upon VDOT. What I don't understand is why in the state of Virginia, through the Virginia Department of Education, there is 3 rules about the most dangerous place for children in relation to schools, which happens to be the bus stop. And so what I'm looking for is support and signing this petition to help me come down on VDOT about putting a bus stop or a sidewalk or something in that neighborhood. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Okay, and that is all for our citizen comment period. Next up is new business. We have the class size report. Mr. Miller.
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board. Each year, each fall, we are required to provide a class size report to you as well as to the citizens. So just going to go over those tonight as far as numbers for this fall, and this includes also numbers for the spring for secondary school. The New Kent Elementary School, we have the number of sections here and then the total enrollment by grade level and then the average class sizes at each grade level. They're fairly typical for us other than the first grade, which is at 23. A lot of that has to do with just the numbers and where they're at. And we needed 6 classes in kindergarten. And so we had to move a teacher down to there, which did leave us a little bit larger at the first grade. The other grade levels are all pretty standard and actually a little bit lower at the upper grade levels than normal. At Watkins, these numbers are fairly typical for us until you get to 4th grade. That is a large 4th grade that we have coming through. And however, it is still within our typical limits for classes at the elementary level. Yeah.
I know I don't have a mic, so I'll speak louder. This question on the 4th grade. Do we have an additional 4th grade allocation that we can run with the children in this school? That we brought that number back?
Believe that we do.
have one.
So we had a late resignation that we
Yeah.
wanted to fill. So another reason that that number is there is there is an allocation there and still aggressively pursue the
Mhm.
board tonight for another candidate that we may be making an offer to as well, even in the second semester as the teachers, finish their program.
And we have space for an additional
We actually
class.
have a space present
Okay.
for that,
Yes.
because that was going to be that.
At the middle school, classes, I did a slightly different report here. I do have the average class sizes, which are, again, the averages are pretty in line with what we typically have. Our largest class sizes are in the upper 20s and reach as high as 30 in core classes, and PE 33, which is fairly typical. And then our smallest class sizes, which are in the lower numbers. A lot of the fluctuation there has to do with either scheduling is the biggest piece, is where does it fit in the schedule. And a lot of the higher classes, as I summarize at the end, are more advanced or accelerated classes where we'll have like 2 at a grade level. And it's difficult if you jump to a third, then the class size, those class sizes jump way down, and it will then make the other class sizes go up. So
Quick question, on the world languages, are we recruiting for a teacher there?
are we currently recruiting for a teacher? We have all our slots full currently. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay.
And Mr. Miller, we have an art class with two students in.
Yeah, that is a combined class with another class. So it's an art class, but it's during a period where there's another class in that room as well. So it's not the only students in that class.
There's a section of art within a larger section as to I was doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And you said that was for two hearing impaired students? Is that what you said?
I did not say that.
Oh, okay.
I said, I was saying
didn't
the same thing,
understand.
Dr. Nichols said. It's
There's a section, like a higher level.
Yeah.
section
I think I know.
for kids.
Okay.
Not
Yeah.
gonna take that and
Just,
do it at the high school
okay.
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah,
We take ceramics 1 and ceramics 2, so it's the same.
Gotcha.
But
got it.
Power school, for sporting purposes, that's the class size.
Yep.
So it is a little bit.
Yeah.
We do not have 2 kids assigned to basic.
Right. No.
It's like,
Good question. And then at the high school, again, class sizes overall, average class size is within our normal numbers. Some of the classes are a little bit larger. And here we also, I will say, we're 4 teachers down. We have 4 openings at the high school. And so once we're able to fill those, hopefully that will improve some of those in the 30s. So. Similar to last year, there are several sections in middle school and high school that are larger or lower than normal. A lot of that has to do with basically having either accelerated advanced courses or just courses with where you have a section and a number of teachers that if we went a little bit higher, then our class size would drop there, but then would go up elsewhere. One thing I didn't note here, but that we've also said is our class size is a little bit larger because of some openings that we've currently been unable to fill at this point.
Do you know, Mr. Miller, what is the state average?
The state class average, don't know as a state right now. We have SOQs that we're required to be under, which we are under everywhere, but I don't know a state average at this point. I can see if I can find that out for you. though.
Just be interested to see where we fall in the continuum of other school divisions of our size with our average class sizes.
And this week, that's a great point, because
Yeah.
that has been a recruiting tool
Mhm.
for us versus some of the school divisions.
Yeah, that's why, I mean, because some of them, if your average student's 29, it's much different being 29 versus 20 or 21. It looks like most of our elementary is around 21 right now.
Yeah. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Next is the 21-22 Advisory Committee memberships. Dr. Nichols.
All right, I think I have shown I can go without a mic, but I'll take one. So board members, you do have before you a list of advisory committee memberships. So each year we bring to you a list of advisory committees and members for review or approval. This is a fluid list. So the list that you have in front of you may not be the final list. We may add and drop throughout, and you'll see I'll have a plea here in a second. So here are the following advisory committee recommendations provided to you for the 21-22 school year. And these are opportunities to engage with stakeholders in various forms. So we have the Superintendent Teacher Advisory Committee made up of members of each of our schools, multiple members. We actually have our first meeting next Wednesday. We have a Superintendent's Parent Advisory Committee. So here's my first plea of the evening. I am in need of some elementary parents that would like to participate in that advisory. We offer a hybrid approach where it's in person or virtual. So if you want to hang out in this library another night a month, we've got you, but we can also Zoom you in as well. So we do have that list in front of you, but we're actively recruiting new members. Actually, almost every parent I talk to, I end with, hey, do you want to be on parent advisory? We do some pretty big, important work there. Last year, we took on communication, which you can see is a continuation this year. PTO, PTSO presidents is another committee. We have a wellness committee, sick leave bank committee, community safety, gifted advisory, CTE advisory, career and technical education, school health advisory committee, and our special education advisory committee. In addition to this list of members, the Special Education Advisory Committee also included a membership application and bylaws as well. As a matter of fact, I do want to recognize our SEAC, short for Special Education Advisory Committee. President, Ms. Christina Luntzer, is present tonight. So we want to thank her.
Thank you.
Being a president on one of these committees is sort of a thankless position, but it makes a tremendous impact as well. So we definitely want to thank her for being here tonight. So board members, I'd be happy to take any questions on this, but it will come before you for approval later under action items.
I think the only comment I had is under the School Health Advisory Committee. I think the school nurse needs to be updated at the high school.
Okay.
Just
good catch.
Make that update there.
Any questions?
How often do the advisory committee, the parent teacher, how often do we meet ad hoc?
So initially, when I got here, it was on a quarterly basis. I felt that was too far apart. Like if we're really going to work together, it needs to be more of a monthly basis. So it's almost a monthly basis. I say almost because we don't meet in December and we don't meet in June. So it's basically a monthly commitment of about an hour, hour and a half. But we do have parents that can't make every meeting and so forth, but we have minutes and all of those pieces as well. So teacher advisory runs the same way. I actually do them on the same day. Teacher advisory at 3:15 and then parent advisory at 5.
You mentioned communication. What are some of the other areas of discussion?
I think a big area of discussion for the parent advisory, we're still working on the agenda for next week, but it's going to be around COVID dashboard, quarantines, communication. I've had an opportunity to go to several of the PTO meetings. And one of the questions that I got a couple times, I think at the high school one I was at as well, is do you have to call me every time there's a positive case at a school, which is a practice that we do. So making sure we have our communication where it needs to be in related to COVID. At the high school level, we'll be pushing on these career education expansion opportunities. We talked about computer science. We talked about military science and some different areas that we'll do there. So we'll do some of the instructional piece. I do have a feeling that most of the agenda will be spent on our start this year. But we have had a couple topics brought up tonight that could be included in there as well. So taking a look at some of our policies and practices and regulations. So, and then there's always an open section at both of these meetings for anything that the parents or teachers want to bring to the agenda. And sorry if I was yelling still with the microphone. It's just a habit.
All right, next are our action items. Do I hear a motion to?
Ms.
I think we
Winfrey.
have
Oh, I mean, Ms. Stephens,
Sorry.
we have a C.
Oh,
policy
Parking lot
services.
oh, I'm sorry. The SBA Policy Services Contract Renewal. Sorry about that, Dr. Nichols.
All right, I believe that's me again.
Yep.
So board members, VSBA, the Virginia School Board Association, we rely on their policy services as a small school division. We don't have our own policy person. It's our starting point for policies. The VSBA Policy Services Annual Contract is up for renewal for the 21-22 school year. As members of VSBA Policy Services, we receive recommended policy updates. So as the General Assembly meets and laws are changed and revisions to policies. It's at least quarterly, which if you've been on the board for a while, you've seen those come through quarterly based on changes made in local and state government. So we always look at those and look at them through a New Kent lens as well, but it gives us a really good starting point. It's an annual fee of $2,500, which is significantly cheaper than employing a policy person or even a part-time policy person. So that is an action item for you. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions you may have.
So Dr. Nichols, larger school districts have a policy person on staff.
Many school divisions have a policy person on staff, whether it's a full-time policy, not many school divisions, larger school divisions. Sometimes it's a policy / lobbyist because those two seem to go together. Even so, most of those school divisions still have the VSBA policy contract because they do a lot of that heavy lifting for school divisions.
Thank you.
And also, it might be helpful to, if it's at a future, maybe a work session, we talk about the benefits of our being part of the VSBA and any other organizations.
Absolutely.
That we're a part of and what those benefits give us, like these policy revisions and.
And there have been times, board members, you may recall, where we go in a little bit of a different direction than the policy recommendation because it doesn't match what we're working through, or our regulations are more stringent and we want to keep those. That's the most pressing example was at our time before last policy update, VSBA recommended removing the regulations and we decided to keep them in there because we thought it gave us more information. But as always, policies come before you for 2 reads to be approved.
Right. All right. Now on to the action items. Do I hear a motion to approve the 2021-2022 advisory committees as presented?
I move we approve the 2021-22 advisory committees with the correction for the high school nurse.
And do I hear a second?
I second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, do I hear a motion to approve the VSBA Policy Services Contract as presented?
Move we approve this VSBA policy service contract as presented.
And do I hear a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, our next meeting will be, we have a work session later this
September
month.
25th is our work session, 6
October.
o'clock. And
October, not
What's that?
September.
October.
October.
I almost made it the whole meeting. October 25th at 6 o'clock right here in the